Right.
Board games, board games, it's what we're talking
Why
about.
isn't? Oh,
Board
that's
games,
literally not
board
working.
games, I'm not gonna shout. And look over there, and then you will see the person known as Lauren. Lauren twitches and streams quite a lot. Well, I think Lauren is pretty hot in the music making sense, just to clarify. Although I'm not going to, you know when you get
You
close,
sung
like,
it.
I start singing and then like my mind's like it's weird how your mind goes to places, and I was just about to say, although I don't know if you feel let's not try to sexualize Lauren because maybe that's not cool. You don't want to be a gosh darn fool. But anyway, let's talk about inspiration. This is something that we can mention, whether in music or board games. Maybe you can be inspired by a name, maybe inspired by anything. Maybe it might inspire you to play a tune or sing or make a board game. Board game is what we're talking about. Board games and music and inspiration. I'm not gonna shout. Hey, good morning.
That was fantastic. This is great because you're always putting like song lyrics into my streams for me to sing, and now I'm seeing like the raw source. It's fantastic.
Aw. And saying that I should dig deeper, dig my hole deeper, dig deeper into the hole. Need a hand
Hey.
out of that pit that I got myself into.
Hey, to be fair, there's it's great for me when I get other people, aka usually you, to put in lyrics, because then I can like read them. Otherwise, I would sing myself into a hole a lot, I think, and I talk myself into holes a lot. Let's see how we go tonight. I mean, today.
Today, wherever you are, you could be taking a bath. You could be taking a bath any time of day. So, I started off with busy breakfast board game bladder because, it's 10 a.m. UK time. And then I was like, hey, wait a minute. There's people from Germany watching. Let's make it busy brunchy board game bladder. And then I thought about, the New Zealand people. And, it's a bit later than it is for you. And so it was like busy bedtime board game bladder. And it's like, just wherever you are, you could always take a bath. So that's why it is now. Busy
You're making me want a bath. But it's not the time.
You could have a
this
bath.
Is like
just
the one.
Maybe after the show, or maybe tomorrow morning. I don't know. Tomorrow evening, you could line up, make a wee schedule, have a date with yourself, have a bath. Why not?
I do love doing that. I do. Yeah. Just so, yeah.
And go for it, says Xate. I joined Bez's stream from the bath once. This is literally true. There is video footage of Xate being in a bath, and then I turned the video off whilst Xate got out of the bath. I will say that Xate was also fully clothed, but still,
Wow, that's impressive. I always get scared about like electronics around baths and stuff, but I'm really impressed.
There wasn't a water, it was just Xate in a bathtub.
I was just like imagining kind of full bubbles, sort of like
unfortunately
champagne
not.
in hands. Like
that would have been like, that's the next level. So if the first person who does that will get like some sorts of major award.
Yeah, I think you could probably find a streamer out there that streams from the bath and that's their thing. That's what I like about streaming. Everyone's got their thing,
That's for someone more dangerous than me, says Xate. Yeah, I wouldn't want to take this laptop onto the bath, like around water. That's just...
Yeah.
If the award is financial, I'll do it, says Xate. Yeah, it wouldn't be enough to replace your laptop. It would be a very small... Yeah. I'd be like, okay, but I do quite... It's like £10? Yeah, I would pay £10 to have like No, I don't know. Then I'd feel icky because then it feels like you've kind of done it just for the money. I don't know.
Yeah,
yeah, it needs to be enough for a new laptop. Clarifies state.
Pretty
so,
much, yeah.
Anyway, we are going to, at some point in the future, be talking about inspiration with Lauren Joy Mullarvey. Am I saying it correctly?
Yeah, you nailed it. Yeah, Mullarvey. That's one. It actually does sound how it looks, but people kind of just freak out when they try and read it. Like, I think they, you know, they kind of put themselves off. But if you read it, like, just like you did, you know,
are
nailed
you
it.
Irish? Like, is your ancestry Irish at all?
Actually, yes. I think, okay, so most of the people that I guess I'm vaguely related to are called Mullarvey. Apparently, my specific like family came to Australia and just thought like putting the R in, making it Mullarvey, just kind of sounded more Australian. like I'm not shit. Sorry, I'm not kidding you. Like there are so many Mullarveys, but there are so few Mullarveys, and that's as far as I know what happened. Just like you know, it's like they kind of just didn't feel Australian. I don't know. I don't even know. But yes, you're correct. It is. I think the name's mostly Irish. Because the anyway, yeah, that's enough of that. But yes, you nailed it.
Introduce Losbros or Laura Joy Mullarvey. We are like I found Losbros as she's known on Twitch. I think via Zanny. I think it was some sort of raid for sure. I mean, that's how I find most musicians. I think it's all started with me, you know, someone talking about Zanny and so, oh, this is so cool. And then, you know, Sate told me about raids, and then we went to raid Zanny, and then Zanny was so lovely. And then we raided people from Zanny's channel, and then, you know, it's like more people raiding, and then you get to know everyone. And that's how, like, people get to know new people, and it's lovely. And,
so
yeah, so found Laws Bros, and Laws does, if I may call you Laws from now on.
Laws is perfect. Laws or Lauren or Laws Bros, you know, any of those, but Laws is great.
So I heard Laws kind of doing these loop pedal effects with like wind instruments, with sax and vocals and all sorts of things. Obviously very different from the violin that I'd enjoyed with Zanny's. And instead of, I mean, like, I'm just going to compare you for the next 30 seconds because that was like my thing. You know, Zanny's a lot more like, it feels like you're kind of playing around. Like, I mean, Zanny is, look, I don't want to denigrate you, but like almost like a virtuoso on that violin, and you're like amazing with those loop licks on that sax, but it's like just there's a funky vibe, there's a bit more joy. Living up to your middle name. Literally, Joy is your middle name. And it's like just such a lovely place. And I love the fact that you are actually such a positive, beaming ray of sunshine. And it's lovely to... And then I had Amadeus on and said, hey, let's chat about background music and board games because, hey, it'll be fun to have you over to chat. And that was a fun chat. And I thought, hey, this is a fun thing. If there's like a Twitch streamer that's like, yeah, I not only appreciate what they do, but I really enjoy their vibes and their energy. Let's have them on. Honestly, at this point, I can't think of, like, it would be quite interesting to maybe chat to, like, there's no one that's like, oh, I really need to have them. And like that, I would, anyway, let's not go there. Let's focus on the person in front of us. And it's like just so exciting because this is the thing, like let's share the moments. And we are today talking about inspiration. And why did you agree to come
on? Just, I don't know. I mean, I think, just reminded me, because I think what happened is anyway, now I'm just going on about the past, but, yeah, because I think I was really nervous. I submitted a video to Zanny's channel because she was doing like a kind of looping showcase.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. And that's how I found you. Yeah, because you were in Zanny's thing.
But like, I don't know. I know she's just like lovely. A lot of my friends play with her, she's like just kind of a force of music in Melbourne. And I think I'd met her, but I was kind of a bit shy and stuff. But I kind of was just like, all right, Zanny wants live looping people to share videos. Anyway, so yeah. Anyway, I don't know. It was just so awesome that I guess it, you know, as you said, these things happen. You were there, you saw, you were interested. I think like it was like the next night you raided me, I think, which was like so lovely. And I was like, oh, I remember that name. I remember that person. And then I don't know. I think I'm trying to think if it was even that first stream when like I kind of had the like, you know, make up a song option, and then we just ended up creating, I think it was a song.
Yeah, and
fish.
honestly, if you enjoy people improvising and making up stuff, go into Loz's channel, and there's like, you know, like lots of musicians, you do !SL to have a song list, and then one of them is, I think it's called like Loz Bros make up a song, and then there's
right at the top
icons.
Yeah.
And then it's like, hey, let's make up a song, and then you can type in stuff, and Loz will actually sing it all. And it's like keep repeating these vocals, and oh my gosh, what was like the zebra is a bit of a puzzle. Like that was
because I think I suggested puzzles at the same time you suggested zebras, so we kind of just like but yeah, you know the funny thing about that though, oh sorry, you go.
No, I was just going to say, like, this is perfect because it's all coming into like the inspiration, because when you're improvising, it's like having that little, you know, restriction from someone else really helps focus you. And it's like, you know, you said well, I might have said zebras because I was there just from Amadeus, maybe, and you might have said puzzles because you had like a puzzle on your wall or something.
I think,
or maybe I saw the zebra on your wall. That might have been what it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, let's do zebras, and then it was like, okay, and then because you've got like a new thing that you're trying to do, you're going to end up making a new thing. It's like whether it's a game or music. If you're pushing yourself down a new path, you're going to end up with something new, right?
Yeah. And I love. I was just gonna say one thing that I think is really cool is that I intentionally left like that song, whatever little slot, really vague, like Loz Bros make up a song. So what I usually do is someone clicks it, and then I'll be like, oh, do you want to like input? Like you're one of the only people, like it's not always like a lyric thing, you know. I just like it's just, and I love that. I love just like it's actually, it probably gets requested more than anything. And then the output is so different. Like if you're on, you're kind of like really, you're really on top of writing lyrics, and it's great how you kind of get other people, and we kind of get other people, but like a lot of people kind of don't have that in them to kind of just do it off the outset. So yeah, I just love, and that's what I love about streaming, just and trying to find ways to involve the people watching, and like I don't think. And it all comes down to inspiration is that thing where I love bouncing off people's ideas, and I love like involving people and like bringing them in. It's like
I'm just laughing because in the comments, Sates is asking no questionably quick questions. This is so on topic. I mean, so apparently this is not the time to be on topic, but don't worry, this is just the intro. This is just. This is going to go off the rails and then come back onto it, like onto a completely different train track. This is how we've gone. Like it's gone off topic, and then we've gone onto a completely different train track, so we're on the rails again.
All right.
Let's start off with recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights. Recent highlights, playing games and other delights. Recent highlights.
Oh my gosh, these songs are just, I'm just so impressed. This is great. I get to, it's your, like, yeah, I love it. Also just like the instant
positivity.
It certainly exists. I'll put it that way.
Well, positivity exists. It's certainly a thing.
Well, no, usually better, but yes, no, it's I guess it's my middle
I'm not taking the mickey. I'm genuinely loving your positivity. I'm loving, the fact that, I mean, okay, look, my recent highlights, I'm trying to think of games that I played. I don't think I played any games yesterday. sometimes some days I play games, some days I don't. Tonight I might play games. Yesterday I did watch Sushi Go, but I missed a tiny bits of the instructions, and I wasn't sure how the drafting was working. But oh no, I did play a game yesterday. I completely forgot. We played a version of Say What on stream, which basically played the rules to my Ranking Lovely Things game, but using the cards of that game. That was good fun, and I think, I can't remember who won. It was Prey. Prey won. And I've started giving away essentially channel points, because this is a new thing that I'm doing. So I'm not going affiliates. I'm using Stream Elements to keep track of points. And so it means that I can just do add points. And yeah, it's like, and then it's like, hey, you won a game. You can get 1,000 points. And then I've not actually set up all my rewards, but the next, not this week, but next week and the week after will be just basically chaotic shenanigans with Bez. That's what it's going to be called. We were talking about this before the stream, where I might sing songs or do stuff, and maybe, yeah, you'll be able to submit points to have me attempt to do hula hoop where I'm streaming, which might be challenging because I might have to get up on the bed to do it. But, you know, I'll be one of those streamers who's like, yeah, spend these number of points and I'll do this thing, or spend this many points and I'll do, like, if I can get my keyboard in a place where I'm going to see if I can, assuming I can get the train, see if I can get this sort of selfie stick thing up on the train with me. I might have to kind of put it. Fingers crossed I can actually go there.
Yeah, oh, that's exciting. I love I quit points thing. Yeah.
Hey, but once I get the rewards in there, you know, you'll be all over them. Fingers crossed, hopefully.
Yeah, that stuff's great. Although I find I was just thinking about it because I've tried some different ways of streaming the last week or so, and it's not really motivated by points. I'm more like, I just kind of feel like it. Like last week I did my first not totally music stream. I just had all these plants that I'd been like propagating, so they grew roots in my bathroom, and then I just like sat in my backyard and just planted them in pots. Which, you know, yeah, I think, yeah, I think I'll be I'm points or otherwise, I'm also definitely just for fun thinking of other ways to stream, but it'll, yeah, it's I
mean, it's a weird one because it feels like something where, yeah, you want to do something that people actually enjoy, but I kind of say all the time that, you know what, if at least 2 people say that they really want to see something, then I would seriously consider it. I'm not going to say that if 2 people made an unreasonable, even if 10 people made an unreasonable request, I'd be like, okay, that's over the line. Do you know what I mean? Like, that might be okay. I can imagine things where it's like, no, I'm not doing this on moral or whatever grounds. I'm just, you know. But if a couple of people wanted to, you know, like, say, you were never promised a calendar. I said if, like, at least a couple of people did it, and you were the only person who did it. You were the only person who, yeah, Xates actually did submit. So what we said is that if at least a couple of people submit like sexy-ish photos of themselves with the L deck, which is, where is, I don't have it to hand. It's probably somewhere around here, but I can't find it right now. But then we would get Chris to do a sexy calendar. But yeah,
that's definitely relying on if people. Yeah, that's fair. I can imagine that going either way. But you know, nothing wrong with putting it out there.
It's my background on stream. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Xates, but no. The point is that, yeah, it's. With points, it's kind of weird because, yeah, if multiple people were like, hey, Bez, we really want you to hula hoop and review a game, and then a couple of people said, yes, please do that. And so, like, even before I thought about these points things, I was like, yeah, let's do it, and I will do a hula hoop. And it was actually quite difficult, but I was kind of trying to show the game to the camera whilst hula hooping. but
Oh,
I could
sorry,
only
I
get
missed this. You're playing a game while hula hooping. I kind of
no.
missed that
I
part of
the
the. Oh,
game.
okay, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
And Xate says, I don't need the deck, you can just look at the background, which is a fair point. So if you look at the
Yes.
AM cards in the background on screen, that's what Xate means, to show Laws DL deck. So
yeah.
it's basically 2 letters on each card. Anyway, the point is that we were kind of going to have some, it was sort of a joke, and at the time I was like, yeah, that sounds funny, and then we were like, yeah, should we even do it? But anyway, back to the recent highlights, which is what this was meant to be. That stream, that game was a recent highlight. I did have a cycle to the bank, and then that was closed, and I went to a different bank, which was also closed, and I was really annoyed because apparently one was closed for refurbishment, and then it said I should go to the other one, and then Google didn't tell me that it would be closed, but it closed at 2 p.m. And why are banks closing at 2 p.m.? That is ridiculous. But despite that, I had a lovely cycle ride. I went up a really big hill, and then I came down a really big hill, admittedly holding my brakes for most of this really big hill because it is a really big hill. And so I didn't actually get the joy of going down this hill
just going speed. For it. Yeah.
But so I would have preferred a shot, but it was a sense of achievement. I got to see a lovely sunset, so yes, that was a definite highlight. How about you, Lauren? What are your recent highlights?
All right. Okay, I think I've compiled some to kind of anyway. Well, I did I have a recent game playing highlight. My friend Kelsey, who I think anyway, she's popped up in my stream. I think when you've been there, she's a fellow. Well, she's probably the person I know in person most that plays the most kind of tabletop games. So she actually let me borrow her hive set. I don't know. Partially in preparation for this because I wanted to make. I am not. And this is something that I am wanting to change in my future. I'm not a huge tabletop game person regularly at the moment, but me and my partner sat down and played some rounds of Hive, and it was awesome. And I'm definitely going to buy it for myself now because
nice.
It's it took me a couple of rounds. The thing I'm bad at is just reading rules and just like absorbing them straight away. Like I lost twice. Because pretty much I was like, all right, Jay, you read the rules because I can't be bothered. And then, which I think you're probably, anyway, I feel like I'm telling, all these people that are into games, my guilty.
No, it's all good. Like even people who are into games, like I know that Xate is just like, yeah, I'm not going to read the rules. I read the rules because I think I actually absorb information better from reading than from being talk to sometimes,
because that's interesting.
Like for me, if I've actually got it physically in front of me and I can sort of see it, but I think most people prefer just someone guiding through them.
Yeah, I mean, like it did mean that I spent like a solid 20 minutes just losing because but the convenient thing is I think it's like in this context, I know that Jay is really good at kind of absorbing them a lot quick. Like, and honestly, I like kind of had a glass of wine and I was a bit like, ooh. Like I took because it is sort of this big list and like the ant can do this and not this. And you have, the other thing is like,
it's very much like chess. And for, those who don't know, Hive, do you want to give a quick explanation of how it is? Like,
this will be, okay. Yeah. Okay. This okay. Okay, so I'm trying to even remember now. So each okay, I'm gonna try this. This is a good test. Have I internalized how to play Hive? So each player gets a set of I think they're hexagonal little pieces. One team I think they're like black pieces, one team they're white pieces. Each set is the same. They've got different insects on them. And the object of the game is quite simple. Each player has a queen bee, and the main objective is to surround for the opposite to surround the opposition's queen bee, either, and that can be with a combination of your own little pieces and their little pieces. So, and all of the little insects have different functions and different things they can do, quite like chess. So, yeah, is that I don't know. Is there anything you want to add, Bez? Oh no, I can't hear
Sorry
you.
about that. It's a good overview.
That's okay. Okay, good. That's good. I love not knowing if you're going to be able to explain something until you do. Oh, here we go. Look at that.
5 there, and you can see all the wee bits, and that's the front of the box with a bunch of awards that they've won. And yeah, that's it's in the end where you can see these heavy Bakelite pieces, and there's a nice clunkiness to them. I've personally got the pocket version next door. I don't know if you have the full size one or the small one.
Well, I haven't bought my own copy. The one Kelsey had was in a little bag, so I assume that's like more of
the orange one.
Was it colors and brain and memory. I think it was a white little packet. Like they were thick. The little pieces.
The white one, there's a big one and then there's a tiny one, and the tiny one is maybe.
I think this is the big one. Yeah. No, I think it was the big one. It was good. They were really they felt good. It was good. It was a good time.
And a quick hello to Alex and everyone in chat. If you are in chat, I see there's Apolach and who you know, and Jay. Look, don't want to call out all the lurkers because then you might feel embarrassed. I mean, what actually, as a streamer, what do you think is the? It's a weird thing because we can see people, but maybe people don't want to be called out. Do you know what I mean?
Can you see? Because I didn't. Anyway, I'm curious. Can you see people that are just watching but not commenting? Anyway, not that it really. Yeah. Anyway, I don't think I need to or whatever. But that's interesting. That
there's probably no points, but yeah. I'll show you after. Because then I'd be also showing all my mod actions, which maybe I don't want to do. But actually, even if I step out of mod view, you can sort of just go on Twitch, and then you can see, hey, there's a little button on the top right, and then you can see.
Cool. I mean, I think for me personally, I don't really. I don't know. I don't want to think about that too much when I'm streaming. This is it is actually nice because for a change, I can't see how many people are viewing, and I mean, I can't even get. I was gonna say the fact that I'm so impressed with the multi-streaming aspect, and you've probably got all these different, what you got YouTube and Facebook. That absolutely blows my mind.
I mean,
so I'm quite happy to not have to think about it.
Just kind of funnels in there, and but yeah, Hive, we can agree, is a brilliant game. There is quite a lot to learn with all the, and hey, lovely to see you.
That by the way, that's Jay, who was my Hive buddy and my life partner buddy, who is a lot better at internalizing rules quickly than I am. So,
and the funny thing is that Apollo thought that that was who Xates was poking, because Xe poked at Jay, but Xe was actually poking someone completely different called Jay, which is kind of funny.
Oh my gosh. To be fair, I'm not too worried about for me, it's nice not to have to think about that stuff for a change, Reduce to Hive buddy.
Yeah. Is this how you announce you're splitting up? Oh my gosh, this is so hard.
Well, to be fair, I do get one reason we haven't one reason we don't play more competitive games together is I do have a penchant for getting quite competitive, but I have to say even though I lost a bit because I didn't understand the rules and I made Jay learn them and teach me as we went, it's one of my prouder moments. Yeah, I'm sure
Are you saying that how many times did you play? Did you even manage to win a single time? I don't want to rub it, and I'm just curious.
Oh, no.
I'm getting like a picture of you like playing game after game, and I'm going to beat you next time, Jay. Oh, I'm going to beat you next time. Next time, Jay. Next.
No, I was trying to be modest, to be honest. The first two I lost for and Apple is allowed to argue this, but my perception was that I lost the first two and it was from a rule I didn't understand. Then I won the third game, and then honestly that's as far as we got, but it was definitely enough for me to go, I need this in my life permanently, because it was and it was very generous of Kelsey to lend me her set, because her and her partner play this all the time, and often while I'm streaming and they're just like popping in. She came over the other day and she was just like, Lauren, I'm going to have to take Hive back. Like, It was hard for me to part from it. So yeah, anyway, that's been a highlight, because I think it's like opened, I wanted this. I feel like, yeah, it's sort of opened the new, games in my life, and hopefully it'll be a bit less like, learning it's hard, blah, 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 because, you have to go, well, the payoff's probably going to be, or at least has the potential to be worthwhile.
Yeah, that's the thing, like, about a game where, the difficulty of learning versus the how long do you spend on it. I mean, there might be a lot of people who get really into games and might play a big game, a big meaty complex game like I'm trying to remember that one that Sates likes. But not shout him out by name. But now I've just kind of totally messed that up. Anyway, so I don't know if Sates even plays Tolkien, but let's go with Tolkien, which is Teotihuacan, because Sate likes making me try to say Teotihuacan. I was actually thinking of the supposedly time traveling one by Dave Turksey. Which I'm always going to argue isn't that. So yeah, say basically, I'm going to say we'll learn a really complex game, any of these things. Oh, that's the one, Anachrony. And kind of be like, oh, let's learn a big set of rules and let me try and work out what's going on and out-strategize you faster. And it's all about the strategy and knowing the sense of how things mesh together, but it's also about the joy of learning a bunch of games and going from game to game. I mean, actually, I think that most times when I meet up with Chris and McCall, the games we end up playing, especially now that I'm planning to leave, we end up playing at least 2 new games a week, I would say.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah.
To be like, okay, we're going to try this, and with Layla, maybe I'll play like another 1 or 2 new games with Layla, but it's kind of our thing that we'll kind of get together and do this. And it's like, okay, do we like this? Do we not? But it's kind of, and it says, I hate it when a demo or teacher explains strategy to me and the teach. That's the fun part.
Yeah, I did enjoy that with Hive, I have to say, like working out. And I think, yeah. And talking to Kelsey, who I know has played it a lot with her partner, like it's one of those games where there's always another strategy. I guess it's a bit like chess. Yeah. That's interesting. But no, there is a lot of satisfaction in working it out yourself, I think.
Anyway, let's move on and let's talk about a brilliant thing. We've not talked about this, but let's talk about a little thing which is brilliant. Do you have something in mind, or shall I have
I have a thing that I was gonna potentially say as a recent highlight that is also a new and thing that I think is brilliant in my life that I was gonna talk about. So I don't know.
What is that?
Because this is like anyway, because you were talking about going for a lovely bike ride, and it reminded me because you were talking about going down a hill and having to really put down the brakes. And anyway, my probably biggest recent new kind of, I guess, hobby is roller skating. Because Jay's sister lent me some roller skates, I think about a month ago, and I've kind of been obsessed ever since. And and it was just fun. Like we literally just did the puzzles every yeah. Anyway,
I mean,
yeah,
Zebra's doing puzzles sounds brilliant, but I think we'll have roller skating as the brilliant thing tonight. I mean,
yeah.
tonight, whenever it is. And I have never properly been able to roller skate. I am able to rollerblade. I find rollerblading a lot easier. Like, rollerblading is basically like roller skating, but on land. But it's like ice skating.
Oh, wait, are you
but on
talking
land.
about ice skate? Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Rollerblading is like ice skating, but on land. But I've never actually managed to roller skate.
Really?
Like,
Is it?
I
That's
had
interesting.
some roller skates that I tried on, but I could never quite get the hang of it.
That's interesting because it's one of those things where when I was like a lot younger, I was more of a rollerblader, but yeah, I guess because like
When did you pick up roller skating?
Yeah, about it. So it's when I got lent these roller skates. It was very spontaneous. There was it's so cute.
So very
anyway.
recently, as an adult.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Wow. So there's still hope for all of us.
That's the idea, and that's why I love it. And actually, one of the cool things is, at least in Melbourne, like a whole bunch of people like adult people, not exclusively, but also have been getting into it pretty much over this year, when, you know, because it's something they can do that's not like super contact, blah blah blah, which I just think is super cool. Yeah, you go.
Saints here used to roller skates to school back in the day, apparently.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it feels like, so why is it brilliant? I guess, can you actually go fast on roller skates? Like, could you pick up as much speed on roller skates as you can on rollerblades, do you think?
I don't know. It's funny because I rollerbladed when I was like a kid. That was sort of like, when I was a kid, I rollerbladed, and then there's been all this time. And if it wasn't for kind of getting handed a pair of roller skates and being like, try these, I probably wouldn't have it's something I don't know, there's something that I thought would be fun, but probably not something I would have bothered going after. But I'm trying to get, I still don't really understand the difference, because I guess I haven't tried rollerblades in such a long time. Like
rollerblades are all in one line.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of push them off. And roller skates, it's like in a wee square.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some harsh words from skates. I'm not sure, adult people roller skating are hipsters.
I mean, you could argue that every person in Melbourne is pretty much a hipster. So, when I get rollerblades, I don't know. I think there's definitely a certain aesthetic that goes with it, and I would be lying to say that certain aesthetic isn't something that I think is fun and cool. But it's pretty much. I would also like to say that actually, just being able to suddenly glide around, because the reason that I was immediately just like yes is that I go skiing every couple of years, which I'm sure is quite universal in the fact that it's, very weather dependent and, very expensive to kind of organize and, you go to all this effort and you get up the mountain and maybe it's a crap day and, the fact that you can just put wheels on your feet and, if you're in an urban, oh, look, it's great. Like my backyard is
a hill.
Yeah. Every bit of concrete, which is something that I found so mundane, is suddenly like a playground, But I have to say, I've started going to skate parks to do ramps and stuff, which is why I have a huge bruise on my thigh right now. But I have to say a lot of adults are actually taking it up in Melbourne. That's just cool.
I mean,
but
it's a good place to hit yourself. I mean, it's pretty fleshy. At
Yeah,
least
yeah,
you're
yeah,
not
it's
hurting your bone or anything.
Yeah. No, I think I can take that. It's the kind of twisted ankles and those sort of injuries that I'm like, no, thank you. But no, I can deal with that. But yeah, I did have an experience today, and this has not been uncommon Like I often go to the skate park extremely early and there's like no one there. And then I'm like, yay, take my time, do a little ramp, come back down. But today I went shopping and there's like a skate park next to the shops. And I was like, oh, this is so funny. I'm going to I need to do my grocery shop, but there's a skate park so I can go and put on my things and be like, hello, hey, and then I got to the skate park and there was no one there. But within 5 minutes, I think it was the end of school and it just got the teens, they just came from every angle. And suddenly, I went from just being able to take my time to having all these people half my age just zooming past. I was like, oh, better go and get the groceries. So yeah, that is a concern.
That
so I'm
sounds
excited.
Amazing. And hello to Albroxnar. We are just chatting about the brilliant thing for today is roller skates. But if you want to do other things with wheels, we've already talked about bikes separately, but things with small wheels, we can expand it out. So if you
I'd say,
skateboards or those kinds of. I saw someone actually yesterday using a thing where you're pushing from side to side. Imagine these are your feet and you kind of do this action. And then
awesome.
They were actually going up a hill, not the really steep hill, but just a shallow hill. And so I was like, I like what you're doing there. And I obviously, on a bike, just kind of went past them with not too much effort. Fairly confident cyclist. But yeah, rollerblades, skateboards, roller skates, they're all brilliant. Changing the world and having fun and doing tricks, maybe having the joy of motion.
I think just the term concrete playground, it's nice. I pretty much like seeing concrete and not being like, I wish there was a tree there. Of course I kind of wish there was a tree there, but if there was a tree there, I couldn't get out my roller skates and just just kind of going by.
Makes lots of sense.
Yeah.
And so now is the time that some people have been waiting for, where I invite anyone to share, to ask anything, obviously within certain reasonable limits, keep it PG rated and, but where the line is. I expect everyone to be respectful for the questionably quick questions. So if you have something silly,
game show.
if you have
something
chaotic, then feel free to throw it in. And we always start with question number 1, which is, Lauren Joy Mullarvey, where exactly are you? And what time is it?
Well, it's 6 a.m. here, and I am in Melbourne, Australia. It is currently 9:43 p.m. on this fine Wednesday, which I think is one of the later times in the world, right? Whenever I'm on Twitch, it seems like it's their morning when it's my night. So I don't know.
New Zealand is after you.
Yeah.
I mean, New Zealand doesn't have that many people. As I understand, it's a big farmland sort of thing.
If you want to offend people from New Zealand, you can say that, it's pretty much just another state of Australia. It's just another little bit, it's we've got Tasmania, that's not. Anyway, I've got a good friend from New Zealand who was specifically don't say that. So here I am. But no, it's a wonderful other country that has a lot in common with Australia and, is the one place I can go with my passport and not have to worry about visas and stuff. So yeah, good time.
Alex from chat asks, if you had to spend a day underwater, what would you do?
Ooh, I'm going to
assume that you have some method of breathing. This is what you have to think about first. How would you get your apparatus to breathe?
Yeah. I'll tell you what I would.
You have to spend a day underwater or you get killed. That's the rule.
But spending a day underwater won't get you killed.
Really weird psychotic people. If you go above the water, if you just, they're going to kill you. They're just running a really cruel experiment.
Can we? Okay, I think we do need limitations here because stuff because I reckon if I could just go anywhere underwater and I had to spend the day underwater and I was I could breathe and nothing could hurt me, like those fish, like when you keep going down that have lights in front of their heads to like attract, like they sound so terrifying. Like I would never want to see them, you know, probably under normal circumstances. But I reckon like people, as far as I know, like the like I just want to go down and see what there was, because I don't. Am I correct in thinking that people haven't actually gotten right to the deepest bit of the deepest ocean yet?
Yeah,
like,
I think you're right. So I was going to say that myself, but
yeah.
I mean, oh, Saint says we keep it PG, but Bez adds murder.
See, this is why in my stream I'm always like, you can swear and stuff, because like I know I do, so I feel like if I say that you can't, I'm like, but yeah, but you know, it's a serious concept that needs to be discussed. If you could.
I mean, why are you? Why do you? I mean, we've got murder can be PG. Like you can have one swear in a PG stream. You can have like, I think mild drug references or alcohol references in a PG thing. It's not universal. It's PG.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. Anyway,
like, I mean, that kind of just sounds like cartoon violence. Come on. Okay, yeah. Only PG murders. Anyway, so but if let's say you were actually able to get hurt, so you had to go within like the next few hours, you have to go and let's say you actually had to spend tomorrow underwater, like with your physical body, you know, with let's say you had to set it up so that you have to spend a day underwater. What would you do? How would you? But
I can get hurt. Can I get hurt?
Yes.
See, this is tricky because it's like, can I get hurt by like pressure, you know, the pressure stuff that happens when you go down? Like, is that, or is it just like...
It's real life. It's just that there's this enemy of the world saying that you need to be underwater for the entirety of Thursday local time.
Okay. Well, okay, so that's really hard. That's like, really hard.
You could go out and it's also only just for you. So it's not like, you know, breathing apparatuses and stuff are going to suddenly skyrocket in value. It's just, okay, I'm going to pick a random person, one person from the planet every day, and they need to be underwater. Otherwise, terrible things will happen. Wahahaha.
That's definitely like a plot of, you know, a future Netflix something rather. Like one person, or like just a really good B-grade movie, like, you know, Sharknado, but underwater, and one person has to be underwater with the shark for one day. What could happen? You can get hurt, but you can breathe underwater.
I will now kill you with kindness. Tickle fight. Stone you with marshmallows. Drown you in syrup. Drowning you in syrup sounds really bad, to be honest. I mean, that sounds like
that's just unpleasant. You don't want to die sticky. I don't know if that's PG or not. But
anyway, so how do you think you would achieve this? Like, would you? I mean, you could just go like for an entire day in a swimming pool or in a bath, like just with a little straw. That would be like the easiest solution possibly to just be able to breathe.
So you do have to sort out your own breathing. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking because you get like all wrinkly and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you know, we're being very practical here. It's true. Who would want that? You know.
Anyway, so how are you going to sort this out?
Okay. Well, a snorkel, a lot of sun lotion, and like the Great Barrier Reef. I reckon that would be a great day. I have spent a day pretty much doing that. I went to Papua New Guinea a lot of years ago. Problem, I got the worst sunburn I've ever gotten. Like it was about 10 years ago. Ever since, like it really made an impression on me, and anyway. So so that would probably be my work, because I'd love to go to just like a tropical place and just like check out the fish. But like after that experience, you know, you don't want to be too close to the equator. So yeah, or maybe so I'd have like a wetsuit. I'd have a wetsuit.
Yeah, and like you do have to be there from like midnight until midnight. That's the rule.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, unspeakable things will happen.
Yeah, clearly. I like.
So do you think that the wetsuit is going to be enough to insulate you from the cold once the sun goes down? Because I mean,
well, if you're in a tropical place, it'd be lovely. I'd be more worried about the daytime.
like what temperature is it during the nights in the Great Barrier Reef? What kind? Are you not worried about it getting chilly? I mean,
You're clearly living in you're in London, right? And it's the middle of winter.
Yeah.
I'm in Australia and it's
summer,
the middle
of course.
I mean, it's 9 p.m. Look at me in my singlet. Like, no heating needed. Like, very different.
Okay,
very different.
Point taken.
I think even because Melbourne's like one of the colder parts of Australia, and like over the weekend I was at the beach, and like it was like actually no, even last night it was so hot at nighttime. I slept in here because it's the only room that has an air conditioner. Like, anyway, I'm sorry. Point taken. I'm sorry to kind of rub it in.
No.
Yes,
I mean, there's a reason why I'm planning to move away to Thailand and where it's a bit warmer.
Yeah, fair enough. I just love that. Like without doubt,
would you get Jay to kind of? Do you think you would go the day without food, or would you get Jay to kind of drop in food into the water because you can't actually poke your head up?
That'd be tricky. You'd be like competing with like beautiful tropical fish. What a problem.
Do you think you just fast for a day?
No, I could never do. I mean, I respect that some people can and do that, but well, if I've got a snorkel tube. That would probably be a bit dangerous, though. Yeah, you don't want to block the air passage by like dropping.
You want to kind of like this is the level of the water, and then your hand goes up, and then Jay kind of drops like cereal bar, and then it's like this soggy thing. But at least it's some sustenance. I don't know. I don't think you're going to enjoy any food for the entire day. I think this is going to be the worst part of it, and also definitely have to go to the loo.
Yeah, but it's the ocean,
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be worse in a swimming pool. That would be 1 point against swimming in a pool.
You need some milkshakes or Huel. No,
what's Huel? Is that like a British thing?
Huel is this ridiculous thing. It's basically powder that it's like food but fuel. I can't it's like hunger. I can't remember. Anyway, it's like basically like porridge. It's food slop, says Michael. And hello, Michael. It's lovely to see you.
Hello. Okay, no, I've got an idea. Like
I think it wants solid things so that you can actually grab them.
Yeah. I had a pretty solid idea. I think this would take some preparation, but like Jaffas and things like that, where they've got that coating on the outside, but you can like crunch into them. Do you know what
Jaffa cakes? Is that like? Is it the same over there? Like one side is a biscuit, one side has chocolate.
No, completely different. Or like Smarties, those.
Smarties where it's got like the crispy coating.
Yeah. Okay. So you could like have little food things. So even you could have like bread inside or something.
Sounds a snorkel. I mean, I think we've already established that.
No. Yeah.
That's kind of might be breathing issues, and also then, then your snorkel is coated with this food all day, and you've got to worry about that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay, concept though, because I think the problem would also be water, especially if you're in the ocean. Maybe that's why you should be in fresh water. But you could also have like a split snorkel or something. I don't know how that'd go, but imagine if you could have
two
like
snorkels. Like imagine if Jay pops in like a second snorkel and was okay. Here's a second snorkel for food. Then you grab the other one and then. Okay, like
I'm trying, but then it would be tricky because then with that you'd have to do that. I'm trying to think about stuff like if you can't go out of the water, if you took the snorkel out of your mouth, would it fill up with water and then you couldn't like I guess you could just blow out the water. No, you could blow out the water. We're okay. You just have to be very careful.
Yeah, I mean.
I hope whoever requested this question was expecting such a thoughtful and in-depth like, what is this meant to be, like quick questions or something? I don't know.
Well, questionably quick question.
I feel like this happens to me all the time where someone asks me like how I am or something and they just want like, yeah, right. And then like I spent
No,
like, well,
that's
today
exactly what we want on this show. That's why, you know, maybe this should have just been a meeting, Laws, because it feels like I wanted to ask about streams during the questionably quick questions, but we've almost gone an hour and we've not even broached the normal topic. So I'm going to say we'll stop this at the 1 hour mark, so at least we get 40 minutes to talk about the main topic.
No, that's
before
good. We clearly need structure. That's also why I'm glad that you're here. I think just thinking about my streams, like half the fun is sort of having this structure of like song list and then spending half the time just like making stuff up. So I'm not a particularly on structure person. So structure me as you want.
Well, I'll make this the final question, unless anyone has like questions that absolutely need to be asked. But hopefully we can have you on again at some point in the not too distant future, if that's amenable to you. But Xate asks, if you could have a board game about any topic at all, what kind of board game would you ask for? And how difficult or complex should that board game be?
I'm just thinking about Hive and how much I want to get my own copy. Is that cheating? Am I able to like make up a game? I don't know.
I mean, I think basically we're assuming that you have Hive, and like, I think Sates is asking like, what's your favorite idea for a board game that might not actually exist?
Oh, that's a
like, would you want a board game about saxophones? Or a board game about loop stations? I don't know.
That's a hard one because, well, yeah, I feel like maybe a lot of people that you could ask that to in your podcast, like it's kind of their job to think up original board game ideas. But I don't know. I kind of
like, let's take a step back. Let me ask, what are some of your favorite things?
Roller skate as of a month ago. No, okay. Okay, let's paint a picture here. I mean anything. A board game that involves food. That'd be great. Like cooking, maybe.
Okay, what specific type of food?
Well, okay, a food. I don't know. I don't know if it's just in my head because I made it yesterday for the first time in a while. Sushi is like very kind of like you put things here. Okay. Maybe like because you know you have to choose what to put in the sushi and so kind of how much of everything.
About selecting sushi and maybe acquiring that sushi for points. You want a game about actually making the sushi.
Yeah. So well, I personally do like acquiring sushi, but I'm trying to.
Because I think Xate is asking because Xate wants to just recommend games to you. I think that's what Xate is thinking, which is very sweet. But if you like sushi, then you should check out Sushi Go.
I thought
or Sushi Go Party.
Sushi. Oh yes, maybe. Okay, no, that's cool. Oh, okay. I think I get the angle now. I was thinking that it's like create a board game out of the blah blah blah. But I get that you just if that's really sweet. I love board game recommendations. Well, I love. Is that it? Like just stuff that I would like in a board game?
Yeah, I think that's basically it. Yeah, just kind of what kind of board game would you like to play? And I think Xate's just wanting to give you recommendations. And Michael, was this game ever published? So Michael is a board game designer working for Hub Games, and I never did a proper Let's Meet Michael show. I mean, we talked about sad stuff, but I just want to have Michael on for like 2 hours and just say, hey, what exactly do you do? But apparently Michael worked on a game about DJing that had a loop station element, but did that come out? That was pretty cool.
That sounds awesome. No, that was definitely something.
Never published.
Yeah. That'd work. I reckon that'd be great because I feel like, because for me, the loop station is pretty new and it is sort of like, it is like a literal puzzle, you know, which is one of the things I like about it. Yeah. Okay. Michael's on my Michael's on my wavelength.
I think this is a fun thing, and man, it's making me feel shame and not nice.
What?
Michael is the board game designer. See, this is where my envy comes from. I have issues with envy. I'm like, yeah, just can't hold a candle to Michael.
Oh, don't worry, I've got the same. I mean, that was a bit like yeah. I mean, I shouldn't just be like, these are the people who I feel envy for.
I'm in a different rank because I make card games. Okay, fair enough. And
I think I kind of like that my setup's so unique on Twitch that, like, you know, there's an element of like I can't really like. I'd kind of love if there was another bass, clarinet, ukulele, loop station, drums person, but at the same time, I kind of like that, you know? Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that out of the games that do exist, everyone here is going to recommend Sushi Go or Sushi Go Party. Sushi Go is the simpler one. Sushi Go Party basically allows you to have lots of different setups. So that's one that you might definitely want to check out. It's about drafting. It's quite simple. But does it work well with two?
Yeah. I'm trying. That's a really good question. Anyway, sorry. We've already gone out over, I think, the hour that you said, but that's a good point. What kind of games do I want to play? Because I'm very much, I almost like, I love like, anyway, sorry.
It would probably be just you and Jay. But it's pretty nasty with two. Oh, I think what Michael's saying is that with two players, you're trying to be mean to each other. Because with more players, you might be kind of, okay. It's always the way with games. If you hurt someone in a three-player game, the third player will kind of come out ahead. But if there's two of you, I'm going to be mean to you, because if I deny you 2 points, that's better than me winning 1 point.
That's definitely something I don't want. At least, knowing how like I am, at least when I play with Jay, I want something where, I guess, is that like strategy? Like, I like with Hive how it's like, a lot about strategy, but I wouldn't say I was like a full-on, like I don't know, a full-on kind of chess mastermind type of person, but I do like thinking about that stuff in the context where it's
really complex games. And says that they have never played Sushi Go. I mean, I thought you were playing everything once, Xates. I thought you would have played it, with Loser, but fair enough. Anyway, that is the end of the questionably quick questions. I guess that's another game that you might want to check out. But I want to remind everyone to feel free to comment, feel free to ask questions, fun, like, follow, all that good stuff. And we are going to now get a bit more on topic, which is all about inspiration and what inspires you.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to just quickly reach over and fill up my wine for this. So my very large glasses now.
Yeah, take a minute. So we've already talked about loops and how when Lauren has this, hey, Lauren, make up a song, it's like, hey, we'll do it about puzzles or zebras, or someone else kind of, I watched you quite late at night and they said something like, it was 4 chords, like something like F, C, E, A, or I can't remember what it was. But basically, it was like, boom, boom, I'm going to, and then that just the way it sounded to you, it was like, okay, let's get into a slightly more punky, rocky vibe rather than the usual funky, slow thing. And do you think you always, seems to me that when you're kind of grabbing inspiration, it doesn't matter where you start, but you need something to kind of start yourself, something to ground yourself. Whether that's an idea for like a repeating melody, or in games like a mechanic or a name or whatever. Would you agree that you always need something?
Yes. And I think just thinking about us having this discussion, I thought that pretty much, here's kind of the thing that I've kind of latched onto, or at least this is something that people talk about in music, and I'm curious to see that. I think it's sort of the concept you're talking about is that it's almost, it's like, oh, because with music, you know, you're kind of thinking about kind of structure, I guess. And for example, when for me personally, when I've tried to play kind of music where there is no rules or it's free, kind of free jazz, for me, I think with a lot of other people, it's like you need something, whether it's like a rule you even end up breaking or something, but having some kind of structure, you kind of need that to be able to like work around it. And yeah, you do need that sort of, so for me, it might be the chord structure or the kind of groove or that sort of thing. But that's sort of, if you didn't have that, you'd kind of just be like swimming around. Like you need an idea. Yeah. It all comes down to having some idea, some little nugget, some inspiration. I think, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, this all comes down to, I guess, almost like fear of the blank page. Like I know in arts, they sometimes say, okay, if you want, just draw a squiggle. If you are trying to brainstorm something, just draw a squiggle and see what that squiggle inspires you. Like just try to put some randomness. And with board games, people have these board gamizers, like where it says, okay, here's your random mechanism, here's your random theme, here's your random constraint. And yeah, whether it's like the name, like because Couple, my board game, card game, which is all about two people working together, and then you're trying to take care of the other person. And when I started making it, was okay, this is a game called Couple, and then I actually tried to make it so that people could play it while spooning. Now, it didn't quite work out, but then I kind of had it so that you can play it while sitting in bed, maybe just about, if you've got bed. But there's still a bit of holdovers, like the fact that you're moving the other person's cards. You're never allowed to move your own. And you're kind of taking care of each other. And you're really working together. And you're able to claim your own, successes. You're able to claim your own words. And you're able to communicate depending on the exact rules that you use. But, it's all named first. You might get mechanics first, where it's like, okay, let me try to think about this auction mechanism. What if this person actually got all of the money? How would that work? Let me pursue this. Or like a theme of, oh, what if I'm trying to make a big tree and make the biggest tree in the world? How would that be in a game? Or trying to make sushi, how would that work in a game? And Michael's already thinking about creating the rice, and then we've got to, maybe it sounds like Michael's thinking of a light Euro game where you've actually got this element where you make the rice over some time, and then that turns into, so it's like a whole ecosystem, which actually sounds really pretty and lovely. I could imagine a sort of Takanoko vibe there.
Yeah.
Or like you could be thinking about the experience, and you could be thinking about like something physical in the game, because any aspect of the game, you can like start with that and be like, okay, how about this? And where do you get those ideas? I mean, you could Mike, I think Michael's not going to make your game, Lauren. I'm sorry.
Ah! Hey, I'm just impressed that like the concept was sort of understood by someone. I think, let's add that into the mix of important things. But yeah. But anyway.
If I make it, will you? I don't. I was like, it's a weird thing, because I kind of am like, oh, I need a project. No, wait a minute, that's actually the exact opposite of what I need. I need to stop doing so many things and need to, but like now, yeah, maybe you could do it for a game jam. Yeah, do it, Michael. I would love to see what do, but yeah, maybe if I'm in a place where I can play games physically with people again, it would be like third or fourth or fifth on my list. But with like music, obviously you've got the rhythm, the chords, like maybe you want to elicit, you might be thinking like, okay, I want to provoke this emotion. Like, where do you start from? What kind of constraints do you enjoy?
Yeah, I mean, and this is something like That's interesting. I mean, the constraints that I enjoy, I guess, or yeah, and at least this is one of the things I love about streaming is like I kind of enjoy. Yeah, I enjoy ideas from other people because they're not necessarily what I'd choose myself, or they're not, like it's really good. And I guess maybe that's something specific to streaming, whereas in another context, like I think a lot of it is about oh, what's the word? Like context. This year I've gone through different periods of writing different songs because of like having a context for them. Like, oh, maybe if I like I wrote a whole bunch of jazz songs at the start of the year, and I was like, oh, maybe I could like have a little jazz group at some point. And then I got the loop station and went, it's going to be a while before a jazz band. So I started writing songs that are like specifics to the loop station. So I think a big part of it is context. Like, and that's something that I love with the loop station is there's always the element of, I've got 3 channels to put things on that I can start and stop as I want. So I guess in context with streaming, if I'm kind of doing the making up a song, it's sort of the best. I love having almost the restriction of the 3 channels and thinking about how best to utilize them. One might be for drums, one might be for bass, one might be for this or that or that. So I guess that's like the biggest restriction, which I think is also like how a restriction almost in a good way. I think yeah. And then, yeah, I guess what I've been enjoying at the moment is just combining that with partially, getting a little idea, whatever it is from someone, and then just sort of putting those things together to see how I can best utilize the loop. Yeah, I guess that hopefully that answers your question a bit.
That makes lots of sense. And it feels like having this new tool with which you can make things, it's going to inspire you. And I've been thinking about loop stations and stuff. Do you know Katamari Damacy, the video game?
No,
it's got this song that goes da 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 ba 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 and so forth. Anyway, so I made a few submissions for this show called One Life Left. I basically did 2 songs and they never shared them, which I was a bit sad about. It's like a proper radio channel. And they sometimes played clips from other people and they said, oh, if you've got something that you want us to share, send it in. And we might share it, we might not, it depends. And anyway, so I made it was called, I said, hey, I've got an idea. Here's Songs of Praise. And it's going to be Songs of Games, I think I called it. Songs of Games. And it was like talking about the game whilst singing in a song from the game, if you know what I mean. So like the song was building up. And anyway, I used to sometimes enjoy doing this just with that free thing, like free stuff where you record your stuff and then you listen to yourself and then record that. And then you listen to yourself and record over it. And then you can keep on building up and it's fun and you get more stuff going on. But then having a loop station and being able to do that live, I mean, what would that facilitate? Like if you've got a new instrument, you can get new sounds from it. Maybe if you've got a theremin, you can, wiggle your fingers and do fun things that you couldn't do with a sax or a piano, I don't know. And maybe with this vocals, if you say, hey, I'm going to use this, like it's almost like constraining yourself, not from the output, but from how you go about doing it.
Yeah, but yeah, totally. And I love that. Like I've got like a squeaky rat that's sort of just on the side that I've only used for one stream and one song. Like I love that thing of especially because pretty much before this year, I was pretty much like, I am, but like a professional kind of session clarinet and saxophone player, which is very much like, you know, you've got your instrument has one voice. Like I can't even play chords or anything. I've got one, you know. So just the world that's opened from just putting anything into the microphone is really exciting. Like it's interesting though. I guess because my approach is still kind of trying to create, I guess, like, you know, like for lack of a better term, like I guess conventional sounding, you know, I've kind of got the foundation of some kind of percussion or drums. I've got bass. Like I guess I like the challenge of trying to I guess fulfill those fundamental instrument things that people kind of expect in a song. But of course I've kind of got a ukulele and sort of, you know, a drum that is like a kind of hand drum thing set up. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I feel like there is a lot of sort of restriction in trying to kind of get that sound, you know, especially because I'm kind of a lot of the time trying to recreate like covers and all that sort of thing. But yeah, I love that there's always that freedom to kind of add something. Like it could add anything, but then also kind of keeping it confined to like what I think will make I guess, a somewhat conventional song. Like at least kind of ticking those.
Like you want to have like match up the, you know, time signatures probably between, you know, the different things that you're playing and match up, you know, the chord progression somewhat so that it's kind of, you know, pleasant to listen to for conventional ears. You don't want to do completely arrhythmic, atonal improv.
The other, actually, well, that's a big thing with the loop station. I literally can't do different time signatures at the same time. The thing kind of just stops and starts bleeping at me, which, yeah. So I'm still working out. Like, I want to kind of push it as far as I can, just so I know. Like,
I mean, can you do any time signature you want, though? Like, as long as you do an entire bar is one loop, you can do any time signature you want, right?
Yeah. But then it just has to be like consistent throughout the channels. Because like one thing, I actually tried this the other week. Like, because I've started doing like kind of live learns of video game music, and someone requested a song that had like a slow intro and then like the kind of beat kicks in. And I was like, in theory, that would be so, because, you know, I've got these 3 separate channels, so I could record the intro on one and then record the kind of beat kicking in bit on another one. I didn't think I could, but I tried. But of course, yeah, because of like the mechanism, which is very helpful in a lot of ways. Everything across the channels has to be in the same time signature, but it can be any time signature. But yeah, you can't kind of have just completely different sections, which is completely fair enough. But that's like another kind of restriction, I think. I saw someone cover Christmas songs in 15/16. Oh my God, that hurts my brain. That's awesome. That is impressive.
I had a little bit of dust on my screen, and for a moment I thought that was 25/16, which is even more crazy. And then I was thinking, if you're going that far, why not? I mean, I can't even imagine what 25/12 would be like, but that would be pretty awesome if you could do it in 25/12.
Yeah, Anyway,
like sometimes at the point where you're writing things in 12 or 16, like it's like it doesn't really make a difference. It just makes it harder to read, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, and this is one thing. I think context is very important. Like, I think anyway, this isn't really about inspiration, but with odd time signatures, I think there's a level of actually having internalized the rhythm, rather than you can't. I think to play them kind of musically, you have to get past kind of just like just counting, and you have to get to the point, I think, to play them where you can kind of they're in there. And it's interesting because like different, like, you know, kind of Western culture has everything in like 4/4 or 3/4, but then, you know, there are all these other awesome cultures that have like kind of wedding dances and odd time signatures, and everyone kind of knows exactly how to dance along, and then someone hears them for the first time and they're like,
people are doing that and everyone has internalized it. Since I used to wonder, like, if I spent I wish I could set it up on like the one thing I wish I could have in Spotify is sort of like an app where, or like a plugin where I'm able to comment on all the songs, like just for me, just so I can basically give them tags, because this is a thing that I used to do. I explained it to Amadeus, so if people want to get it, like kind of, well, I guess to be fair, asking people to watch an entire 2-hour show for one thing that I could probably explain in 30 seconds is a bit much. But okay, I'll explain it really quickly. Basically,
you can like clip it afterwards or something.
For example,
and then,
have chill plus plus plus, and then fever plus 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 plus, and then 4/4 or common. I would actually have common time is one of the tags that I would have for anything that was 4/4, or like if it was 4/4, it would be 5 pluses. If it was like 3/8, then okay, that's fairly common. Anything that's, but if it's something like, okay, 5/8 or 5/4 or 7/4, then okay, I'm really digging this. This is like uncommon time. And it's not like a duality. You can have a potential for something to be instrumental. For me, wasn't the absence of vocals, but it was the ability to focus on it as an instrumental piece. Like if you could ignore the words themselves, but enjoyed the musicality and tonality of the vocals, if you know what I mean. And lyrics was if I felt like the lyrics were interesting to listen to. So it was it wasn't like a good thing or a bad thing. Well, everything was a good thing if you've got more of it. It's like, okay, lyrics, they're interesting to listen to. Instrumental, you can listen to it without being distracted by the lyrics. So this is a good thing for studying, for putting on in the background for something else. And then I had all these tags, and then it was a smarts list. So now suddenly what I want is, okay, I want to listen to stuff that's uncommon time, at least 4 out of 5. So I had, it must contain uncommon time plus 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 plus. It must contain chill plus plus plus. It must contain instrumental plus 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 plus. And that's maybe a nice thing for when I'm doing some work that I really need to think about, but I still want something interesting in my ears. I don't know.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. I feel like, I mean, it's interesting. The thing that reminds me of is like in my streamer song list, you can like select, like little categories. So I had lots of, this is one of the first things I did, which is some of those, it should have been way down the priority list, but I found, there's like a little ukulele, and that meant there's ukulele, and it's a bit more simplistic than what you're talking about. But I love that. I love that people can visually see, all right, this has ukulele, it has loops. Like
I love the little icons on your song request things, and there's something lovely about that. I think. Yeah. I mean, for me, the thing is being able to say this is rating the individual songs and then being able to make a smart list that contains certain things. That's really what I wanted.
It's and definitely So you can't do that on Spotify, you're saying, but you kind of wanted to.
Well, I used to do that on iTunes, and because iTunes has the smart list functionality, I was, wow, this is so amazing. And then I might, if people are coming over for board games, then maybe this is a chilled board game. Okay, I want it to be chill at least this amount. I want it to be instrumental at least this amount, and I want it to be rated at least 4 out of 5, and or 5 out. And so like people are going to hear the songs that I actually think are really good.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Whereas on Spotify, if I can make song lists, but anyway, this is a completely tangential thing. I feel like we've deviated from the topic of inspiration. You were talking about, and I'm just going to acknowledge the chat where Alex suggested having no A's, for music, like just saying, okay, I'm not, presumably you don't have A or, wait, there's B, so okay, yeah, you don't have A flat or A sharp either, presumably. So, you don't have A or B flats, if you want to call it that, or G sharp. None of those 3 things. And just say, okay, there.
That's so like I guess that's like the kind of limitation that I never think about. That's cool. Like I'd try it. I'll try anything. You just
And
that's cool.
Say it's kind of responded as such. Okay, Xulus, I don't need him in the way. And Alex said, okay, no's, A's or E's. Why is this difficult? Or how is it? Poor Xulus. Poor Xulus. But no, I like the notion of just saying, okay, you're not going to use this. And, would we have ever had this conversation? Why is this difficult? Or how is it? Without someone randomly saying, okay, no ways, even though, like, I know you willfully misinterpreted Axates to pretend like, but Aquasula says, my first assignment at uni was writing a piece of music with just 3 pitches. Wow. So it had to be very rhythmic focused, I guess. And I guess also you're allowed to express things through volume as well. Yeah, I guess that's really forcing you to express things through volume.
It's really thinking, I guess, it's thinking about what you, I guess the best way to, or at least for me to approach it, would be like what you can do, what 3 pitches you can do. Like, I guess I don't immediately think of like, something very groove based with like a lot of percussion.
Oh yeah, and of course you can have different instruments playing the same notes, but no, it's cool. Yeah, no, that's definitely, I mean, that's sort of that angle I was talking about limitations and how that stuff can make, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't know if I specifically apply. Usually the limitations when I write a song or improvise a song are specifically the limitations of my equipment or whatever. But I think often, like, there's so many points throughout history where music had limitations, where it was like video game music and they only had so much space or whatever. And that's some of the most creative music I've ever heard because of that. So, I think it's great. I think great things can come out of it, and at the very least, you've 100%. Learned something and given it a go. Like maybe this is. I find the biggest thing that scares me is, I don't know if scares is the right word, but almost not having a limitation. I guess whether it's something that I've imposed on myself, like I feel like there's always some kind of limitation, and that's, I guess, what I feel like. Well, I guess if the limitation isn't something that you take time to acknowledge, I think there's always a limitation. It's like, okay, I'm going to make a game today. Okay, it's going to be about lamps because I see a lamp. Okay, now, and maybe this is about turning lamps on and turning lamps off. Maybe it could be something like power grids, powering up the lamps, or maybe it's about, anyway, you start off somewhere and then you have, okay, even if it's a what do I want to make, you have some vision in mind, and it feels like you have to have that vision. Now, one of the questions that Aquasula says, it's working with limitations and expressing abstract concepts that drew me into game design.
Cool.
And what I want to really ask is what I typed up in the show description, which is now coming here, where basically inspiration can come from practically anywhere. So do we need to like be on the lookout for ideas and be like, okay, you know what, that's a cool idea. I'm going to take a little note for it in my notebook. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, you can't see this. You can't see what I'm writing. Okay, secrets idea. I wasn't actually writing anything. But in all seriousness, do we need to always be doing that? Or is it possible to just sit down and say, okay, what ideas am I going to do? What do I want to do? And let's have a brainstorm. Does the brainstorm principle work? Or does creativity need to be a thing that spreads over our entire lives? Do you know what I'm getting at? Yes, I know exactly what you're getting at. Okay, just a second. I've got a visitor. Is it a bird? It's a bird. He likes being on the mic stand, but he doesn't want to be. Hey, he's coming. Anyway, I know.
All right. He likes sitting on the laptop.
Oh,
He might be back later. But that's Timmy.
Timmy.
Timmy, you wanna come hang, bud? He only does what he wants, so we may or may not see him again. Anyway, yeah, I think that's great, and that's such a big thing. And I guess with music, I think, and this often comes with, I guess it gets talked about most in terms of like writing a song, because I find it so fascinating how people have different approaches or different mentalities. I guess, and I guess sometimes, anyway, okay, pretty much my answer, which might seem a little vague, is I think kind of all of the above, I think.
So you think that either approach is viable? Is that what you're saying?
I'd say pretty much both. Like, I think...
So you think if someone wants to keep, okay, I don't want to be thinking about lyrics, but I mean, sure, this is a muscle that you can build, and I think we can all accept that. It's like if you are doing some traditional song lyrics where you're rhyming, for example, remembering, okay, this rhymes with that. So yeah, that's a cool rhyme, and I'll use that in a wee bit in the future. And for example, I'm looking, anyway, sorry, my desk is too messy. I really need to clean up. But
it's all right, I can't see it. Out of frame, out of mind.
So I want to no, I don't want to. It's too embarrassing.
I
was pondering for a moment I could just show it. But anyway, point is, I have a game called Plus. It will be published one day for sure, even if it's just by me. And the mechanisms that go on in that game are directly inspired by Wibble, the original game for the L deck. And it's like, okay, I used this one method of a catch-up mechanism, and then I use that for this other game. So for sure, as you do a particular art form, whether it's music, whether it's writing, theatre, whatever, you're going to become better and better at it, right? But we can, from what you're saying, we could go through our life and constantly be on the lookout for things, and then just write wee things in our notebooks when we want, but we could also be segregating it. Is that what you're saying? That there is the potential to say, okay, I'm going to sit down for this amount of time, and when I'm not at this desk, I'm going to try and not think about it even.
Like, I think, okay, I think, and I always think of different people being in like different groups, or like, it's one of those things like, here's the spectrum, here are the people that sort of just like, oh, I just let things come to me, blah, 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 ooh, life, everything. And then there are the people who are like, have a good idea, have a good idea, have a good idea, And I guess, I always think I'm more in the first category, I kind of like, oh, things just come to me, blah, blah, blah. But I guess something that I've learned specifically from this year, and one of the reasons that I thought this would be an interesting and particularly kind of relevant topic, is that, I mean, this has been this year where suddenly, well, for one thing,
it's 2020, right? That's basically what you're saying. 2020 has been crazy. I mean, I mean, there's no denying that, like, the world is different thanks to times of isolation, thanks to.
But anyway, pretty. I think that, exactly. But for me, it's meant that it's been, I'm sure lots of people are similar. Like, I don't know. For me, like, my lifestyle is sort of always just been random gig with one man, random gig with other band. All right, you got to go teach now. Like, I always think about it as like putting on different hats, and I'm just putting on different hats and going about. And I found that, I think as I've gotten more busy over the years and like different things have kind of accumulated, I've actually been writing less, unless because I don't necessarily have that time to sit down and think about it. Even though I kind of think of myself as this person who, like, oh, ideas just come to me. So this has been this year where I actually have sat down and thought about it. And I've written, like, for me, this is a lot because, I don't know. I think I've written probably at least about 20 songs, but Yeah, and it's interesting because, you know, this year we've kind of been forced to sit down.
Depending on the length, that's like a couple of albums.
Yeah. But they're all very different songs. I'd love if they would fit neatly on an album, but they won't necessarily. But that's like another that's another podcast. But I guess, yeah. So anyway, I always thought of myself as in this boat of like, oh, everything around me. But I think you need the sit, like it's almost like I feel like all these years of like, oh, taking in things around me, wow, life, everything's a song, blah 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 mentality. Then this is what pretty much the first time in my life, and probably a lot of people's lives, where they've just pretty much, all right, I'm in my lounge room, okay, and it's almost like all of this kind of like that mentality didn't actually eventuate into that many songs because I didn't have that. I'm sitting down now, so I kind of feel like that. Having all those thoughts and experiences and things this year, it's like, all right, I'm going to write a song. All right, cool. So I don't know. I think they kind of,
I mean, did you find yourself writing about the year itself, or was the year itself a source of inspiration for you?
Yeah, partially. I guess, yeah, definitely, absolutely. Whether it was like directly alluded to or whatever, but I guess not. As like there are a lot of songs. Some of them definitely cover this like bizarre phenomenon that none of us thought that we'd be experiencing ever. But not all of them. And I guess one thing that actually this is like a restriction, you know, we're talking about restrictions. One thing is I specifically didn't want to just write songs about this year, because what musician wouldn't sit down and write songs about this year if it's the first thing they thought of? Like, I didn't really want to just like, I wanted to think about other things to write about too, because, you know, I don't know. I think I don't, anyway, everyone's different, but for me, you know, it's like one other restriction I put on myself is that I don't want to write too many songs that are just like love songs that, you know, because there are so many of those.
I mean, I kind of feel the same way that you know, it's a weird thing because, these arbitrary restrictions that we've got, because I think we've chatted on this show before about the almost exaltation, the glorification of happiness, and how that can be sometimes unhealthy. And for sure, I don't want to focus on, hey, let's write 12 songs that are just about how miserable I am and how life is terrible. But if you can do that, but bring in a little bit of humor, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm kind of coming around to the fact, but for sure, because I used to do a bunch of performing in bars and open mic nights, and anything bigger than that was part of a group where what I was playing was kind of largely dictated by other people. You know, had some opportunity to improvise a wee bit, but you know, it was basically just me on the keyboard. But anyway, or trumpet. But anyway, the point being that I had like maybe 20, 30 songs, and that I've written that was like, okay, I feel like lots of pride over these, and it's like these are started off being very much, okay, let's talk about how, you know, the good things about life, because let's celebrate that. Let's try and bring some positivity. When I listen to things, I enjoy something that gives me energy. And so I also enjoy as a musician when people are singing along. So that's what I try to write, something where people are singing along. But then it's like, okay, now I want to express myself. Now I want to write an entire 20-minute set, which is all about my relationship with this person and kind of going our separate ways, but we're still friends. And then next month was like a 20-minute set about, you know, a different relationship. Then next month was like a 20-minute set about dancing. And I quite liked how all my songs about dancing, none of them were in 4/4. So they're all really hard to dance to.
Oh my gosh, that's yeah. I
Alex,
guess Ooh.
in the chat says, I heard a really interesting idea that our most creative, inspired moments are when we are bored, when you're doing something that allows you to think freely, like being in the shower. It doesn't mix well with my reliance on social media, basically being constantly distracted, says Alex.
Actually, I think when I've thinking of anyway, well, one main time I've written songs is this year when I was kind of forced to not do much. Two, the other time when I get the most song ideas sort of that just feel out of the blue is when I'm on my bike, because I am quite a bike rider as well. So there you go. It's kind of because it's kind of
like when your mind is clear, you're kind of meditating.
Yeah. Which is that I think that's completely true. Yeah. No, I mean I've heard like being I've heard a lot of creative people and sort of just as a general thing, like the whole concept of being bored, like you kind of, well, one, you're kind of lucky if you can be, you know, if you kind of have the mental space to to fit new things into, I guess. But I mean,
I guess we need to allow space to fit into creativity in some sense. If we're blessed all the time, if we're focusing on one thing all the time, then other things aren't going to come back. And it's like, you know, I feel like I've definitely had some conversations with people over the past year that I never would have had. You know, this conversation would have never happened. And, you know, I never would have been aware of Zanny or yourself on the other side of the world. I
probably wouldn't even be on Twitch, but now it's something I want to do regardless of, you know, COVID and everything. It's like...
yeah, same. I mean, I don't think I would necessarily do 2 hours every day, but it's certainly... I could imagine myself doing like a shorter stream, like most days, like as I go forwards to, like I've said before, when I go to Thailand, I'll probably be like, hey, it's Friday. And you know what that means? It's a Friendly Friday fun forum. And so, yeah, we're going to have this wee thing where for half an hour, everyone else can say what they want and I'll tap on the phone and I'll try to do the streaming from the phone, probably have a power bank in my bag or something. And then once I've got like the internet, mobile data sorted, and it's be like, okay, and maybe this is what I'm eating. This is what you're missing in Thailand, and I'll be one of those obnoxious people that makes people wish they were here, kind of thing. It's like, oh my god, this is so amazing. What I'm eating now. Oh my god, this pad thai. It's crispy. It's got the delicacy of that egg oozing through it. It's got fresh vegetables and you can taste the earth. I mean, that just sounds disgusting, tasting the earth. Throw a bit of soil on your pad thai. But, yeah, like, it's... Yeah, I don't know what my point was, but yeah, we've had some good making space. Sorry, that was my point. Like, making space for things. Like, I could have talked with... there's so many people that I could have talked with, like Alan Paul. You know, we're friends and we know each other beforehand. Same with so many people on this show that we knew each other beforehand and then I had them on, like Jess Hancock. We could have chatted. Like, I've seen Jess like many times at conventions. We could have chatted, but having like a schedule to do it, it kind of means that you definitely do it. And then you have conversations that you don't necessarily might not have had. And it's the same with inspiration, with trying to make something, I think, where you've got to make the space and give it space for this to happen, whether that space at a particular time. Okay, I mean, I used to do graphic design and there was a thing where the teacher said, okay, 20 minutes, you need to come up with 20 ideas for this logo. And they don't need to be well drawn or anything. You need to just doodle like the typography in 20 ways is one way you could do it, or like 20 different icons, whatever. And having that, okay, I need to do it right now. I'm making the space. I'm doing nothing but this and clearing my schedule for at least the next 20 minutes. I'm not going to look at anything else. It's just this. And same with, inspiration. If you go through general life, you need to have some downtime. If you're always listening to podcasts, unless you're able to think around that podcast, then maybe that's occupying your mind almost too much. Like maybe we're at risk of almost being too busy all the time and we don't allow enough space for inspiration?
Oh, I mean, for me, an upside of this year has been kind of having pretty much experiencing that, as bizarre as all of this is and how many negative things, have come from it. For me, just actually having that space and just doing it from it, doing a whole bunch of things that I wouldn't have done, or having thoughts I wouldn't have had, or writing songs I wouldn't have had. I think that's and that's definitely something it's made me realize that even it's so hard, because I always find it's sort of this accumulative process of getting busy of saying this and this and I couldn't say no to that, and then suddenly it's but I'm really determined, realizing the positives of having that's definitely it's that time where I think you can kind of formulate those ideas that become some a song you might be really happy with, or become if you don't give yourself that time, it's that combination of experiencing things and making and then actually, which isn't easy, and I don't think there are many people who will ever feel like they've completely nailed that balance, but we can try. As creative people, we can try.
Someone somewhere kind of, I think it was actually on Twitter, they said something about having this mindset where they're either creating or finishing or consuming, and consuming is an essential part in gathering all this information, getting all the inspiration, and in creating is where they're just okay. I guess you could also, I mean, they doesn't say resting, but you obviously need to sleep. You can't just be maybe consuming is part of that, because even just taking time in the moment, consuming, maybe it doesn't need to be consuming media, it can also be consuming or having the moment. I mean, I don't think this is what the original person meant, but then creating where you're just okay, whatever, let's do it, and then finishing where it's actually, now I'm going into editing mode and I'm going to actually finish this thing. You agree with that, it sounds like?
Yes. I guess one thing that I guess I've thought about a lot more this year, just because I guess what we can consume while we're kind of isolated and stuff, or well, at least physically, is I guess I've been trying to consume a lot more with a lot more kind of intention, or a lot more care, I think. And part of it's just having the time. I found in other years, it's I'm back from work, throw on Netflix, I just want to watch something I don't have to think about. Whereas this year, it's been so vital for me to either watch shows or read books or play games that are kind of, I guess, stimulating, or and I don't know if it's partly just an age thing. I've kind of gotten over just I'm just gonna binge watch this or it's this year I just feel I really needed, if there was just something on that didn't really have much substance, it kind of doesn't have that appeal of oh great, I can just turn off. I kind of wanna, and that's, I think
I'll admit, I still watch Modern Family. I'm still making my way through it.
Me too. I definitely, but it's just the amount has changed, or it's just, I guess we think about, I guess, as you say, I think that's totally true, having these different parts of your lives when you're inputting stuff, and when you're outputting stuff, and when you're just relaxing.
And I guess sometimes you have to make that space for active relaxing, because sometimes if I'm okay, you know what, I'm not doing work, then it's tempting to just be walking around and listening to board game podcasts, or sitting around and feeling I've got a duty to watch something that tells me something more about the world. So rather than Modern Family, actually, I know this is still obviously very much for entertainment, but Champions on Netflix, I loved that, where it was all about the chili eating contest and in the cheese rolling contest and things like that.
Sounds great. I haven't heard of this, but I'm
Oh, it's a great show. It's basically like maybe 6 episodes, and the fantasy hair contest wasn't that excitingly done, but just seeing, okay, this is what some people do. Okay, cool, fair enough. You get to kind of see some of the and someone thinks that they're a big shot breaking all the rules, and it's like, really anyway. But the point is that if sometimes we need to be like, okay, I mean, it's a blurry line. It can't be binary, can it?
Because that's the hard thing.
Sitting down and reading a comic, it's like, actually, this is relaxing, but it's also stimulating in that I come away from it. I feel like I've done, especially if it's a nice comic that, okay, it's maybe an autobiographical thing. It's also, and then that's going to fill me with inspiration. I guess I really want to ask this final question. I know we've only got 10 minutes left, but is it okay to be just inspired by other examples of our medium, or do we need to be inspired by a broader life? And in board games, Reiner Knizia, very famous for saying they do not play other board games. Like, they only play their own games. Now, Reiner Knizia makes, more than a game every week, literally. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
Like, Reiner Knizia is basically running a workshop, and at this point, it's like, okay, how much of it is actually Reiner Knizia? How much of it is like other people who are kind of unnamed doing this stuff? But anyway, setting that to the side, Reiner's like, I want to be inspired by my own stuff. I want to be inspired by life. I don't want to be inspired by mechanisms that other people have. On the other side of the table, you might say, okay, well, this is a craft. You need to be aware of what's going on in the craft. You need to be aware of, if there's been a new auction mechanism that's come out in the past few years, or if there's been a new, deck deconstruction. The fact of deck building, sure, that came out, a bunch of years ago, but now, deck deconstruction's a thing. And if you're not aware of that, maybe you might just recreate something accidentally, or you might not, you're kind of potentially losing the point of. So do you think that, do you think there's also a risk of focusing too much on your craft? Like, I know that for video game designers, there was a statement several years ago where people think, hey, there's a problem. Video game designers play too many video games. We need people to be inspired by other things. We need people not to be inspired by video games, but to actually be inspired by snorkeling in the Great Barrier Reef or whatever.
Yeah.
What's your view on this kind of balance?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I'm definitely more very much like, for me, I think of it as the more I can just, I don't know. It's kind of abstract, but I think, you can find, wherever you can find inspiration and creativity is where you can kind of like draw from it and use it, and which is absolutely, for me, not restricted to music. And I think, and that's again talking about like how, not again, it's not an exact, but like this year I've gone to a lot more effort to kind of, find more games to play. I've kind of been, I guess, forced to like broaden my horizons or whatever, just by like wanting to be stimulated and to have things to do. And so I guess it's just been this weird like, but just had to think about it more. But I absolutely, like, it's kind of cheesy, but the way I think about it, I think, this is going to sound really cheesy, disclaimer, but I'm just going to say it. Like, for me, like, music's in everything. It's the cadence that we talk with. Like, rhythm is like our heartbeat and how we walk, and that's kind of, like it's I think it would, I especially remember studying at uni, there was this whole thing, like the teachers be like, oh, you just got to lock yourself in a room and like practice for 8 hours a day, and then maybe you'll be like a half decent jazz musician. And like that, of course that's, like all to their own. But actually I specifically remember second guessing a teacher who was saying that. Anyway, it was just funny because I was like, I don't know, like, I just I'm sure you probably, I don't know how you feel, but for me, it's just, I think it would be negligent I can't ignore the fact that music's everywhere. Woo! And even like talking about the roles of the instrument. Like one of my favorite things is reading David Byrne, who's the singer of Talking Heads, wrote a book called How Music Works. And the first bit, I find this so fascinating. Like it was about how like birds, like in, you know, the rainforest or whatever, they depending on the bird, they have different okay. Nailed it. Depending on the bird, like, you know, I think they the birds with like the lower little voices are are in a particular part of the rainforest and they occupy like the ground, and, you know, like these rhythms and these sounds and stuff. I think it would be negligent to ignore the fact that music comes from life. You know,
yes, from nature.
That
we have to put a pin in it. I'm really sad about this because this has been such a great conversation, and yeah, it reminds me of I'm just going to do a very quick recap. So, firstly, thank you everyone. We have talked about so much today. We've talked about calendars. What were you saying about calendars? Wow, that seems.
You're talking about like a kind of spicy calendar you were thinking of, or someone had the idea of creating. I think is that the.
Oh yeah, the sexy calendar. Oh yeah, for Xates, yeah, the sexy calendar. Oh yeah. We talked about DL deck. We talked about Say What and ranking lovely things. We talked about Hive. We talked about roller skating. We talked about.
Underwater is important. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. We talked about concrete playgrounds. We talked about games about sushi. We talked about maybe you don't want to die sticky. We talked about names and mechanics and themes and experiences, or for music chords or time signatures or restriction on pitches, or people throwing in things from the audience, or just seeing something on your wall and being inspired by a zebra. We talked about single voice instruments. We talked about boredom and making space for it. And then a minute ago, you were talking about how things come from the birds. And it reminded me of Usagi Ojimbo, where it said there's a quote there where it was like, okay, we've got 3 styles of music. One is the music of humans. One is the music of nature. And then in the comic, there's like the third one, the music of the gods. And then like the priest hears it just before they die, which is kind of sweet. But anyway, it has been an amazing chat. I would love to have you on again. If you want to check me out, anyone watching, stuffabeds.com, stuffabeds.breaker.com to buy my stuff, twitter.com/stuffabeds, instagram.com/stuffabeds, twitch.tv/stuffabeds. I stream every day at 10 a.m. UK time and Tuesdays at 8 p.m. UK time. I might not do next week's though, because next week, Tuesday, I might be like, okay, and I put it in the calendar, probably not happening. YouTube.com/stuffabeds is for the old shows, stuffabeds.com/discord if you want to join that. And for Loz, if you want to check it out, you can check out twitch.tv/lozbros and linktree/lozbros, which will take you to all the things. Where do you most like to be found? And
well, I mean, I think Twitch is where I'm regularly live and, ready to help. I'm ready for you guys to help inspire me by, being present and saying what you'd like in a song or choosing a song. So, I'd recommend checking that out.
This is the kind of stuff that you might be able to witness if you go on when Lozbros is live.
Yes,
so definitely
I do.
Give them a follow.
I have a green screen and I can put anything back there. So just another layer of the, the experience. You'll never know when David Byrne will dance in the background.
Hopefully this works. Check out. Yeah, it works. Okay.
Cool.
So I did a new shout out command. I'm still trying to work out the details because I don't want anyone to be able to use it. So I might make it a me only command, but thank you, Jay Foolsguard. It's lovely to have you lurking and listening in. lots of love. Thank you, everyone. And we've got about 30 seconds to say over to you. What are you up to? You can share anything, but only if you want to. So what are you looking forward to doing after this stream? Are you going to do anything exciting, trivial, important, or just fun? I am going to be working with Chris. I'm going to be posting some things out. Oh, shoot. Oh, wow. The time's gone now. I meant to actually give a shout out to DL Deck Twitter because there was a competition that closed at 11 a.m. even. But shoot, that was an hour ago. But yeah, I'm going to be doing some work. I'm going to be posting some stuff, all sorts of things. What are you up to, Laws?
Oh, I have to be so quick. Mostly Twitch streaming. That's my main thing. In a broad where to check me out sense. In a more personal sense, it's pretty much my bedtime, but I'll probably might finish this glass of wine and hang out with my budgie a bit.
Yeah,
which is my bird.
11 p.m. You've got like a bit of time.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a
normal bedtime for you.
Probably. Hey, even like I've been having to get up early to go roller skating, so when the teens won't like, just be around me going really quickly. So I've had to like get up earlier. So I'll probably get up early, and if it's not raining, go and roller skate and see if I don't fall on my ass this time.
And I want a quick shout out to James Naylor, who wasn't on my schedule this week, but jumped in at the last minute. So that's James Naylor, who made Magnate, lovely board game designer. We're going to just chat about whatever comes up. There's no topic, just meeting James Naylor, who I know because we're both based in London. And feel free to share, spread the word. And I will quickly check for those on Twitch. Maybe UK Games Expo. Maybe they are doing stuff. Yes, UK Games Expo is on. So UK Games Expo normally has a bit of a interview every Wednesday at around 12 o'clock. So if you want to join that, then follow the raid on Twitch. If you're watching this after the fact, or if you are on Facebook or YouTube, then all that's left to do is to, of course, sing bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. You're allowed to join in if you want.
Bye.
Bye.
I enjoyed dancing along. Bye.
Bye-bye.